Iilluminaughtii is a big YouTuber. And no, I'm not talking about her body size. She has over 1.5 million subscribers. Her channel basically is just a content farm where she pays people to make just about everything for her videos. Any sane person would probably try not to screw this up, because this is literally just a money printer and an opportunity that 99% of people don't just get handed to them. Sadly, over the past month, Iilluminaughtii has taken all of this for granted and almost lost everything, getting a wave of hate to her channel, causing a loss of 130,000 subscribers from people exposing her behind the scenes, like the Click and other members of the Sad Milk channel, to being called out by the whole commentary community and trending on Twitter for what she did. Today we'll be going through how Iilluminaughtii got to this point and why she is getting so much hate. This is the dramatic downfall of Iilluminaughtii. Yo, my name is Amos. I make weekly video documentaries documenting degeneracy. If you want to be based and red-pilled, consider hitting that subscribe button. It always helps me keep motivated to make this scuffed content. And as always, thank you for watching. So Blair, otherwise known as Iilluminaughtii, started her YouTube channel on May 9th, 2013, making Reddit commentary videos. That transitioned into her now known content, where she just makes leftist blue pill commentary videos. In her documentary videos, she talks about evil corporations and other things alike, which is very cringe and ironic, because she acts like her content is gonna have like an impact, or she is uploading performative activism content, which basically just means she only does these videos for views and money, and not because she actually cares about the topics that she's talking about. She's also involved in a group channel that has now become disbanded, which is known as Sad Milk, which we'll be getting into later in this video. So all of this wave of hate started when Iilluminaughtii put out a tweet trying to expose Legal Eagle for plagiarism. The tweet reads, so I went through my emails and found this, just outright saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but if you can make it easier for me, I'd appreciate it. And the email from Legal Eagle's editor reads, hey Blair, I work as an editor for Legal Eagle, and I was wondering if there was some After Effects plugin you guys used for things like the intro and the first NFL video, where the lighter colors appear to stick out in 3D. We could recreate it, but we figured there was probably a faster method you guys were using. Example A, showing Legal Eagle's video on the right and hers on the left. Obviously we know how stupid this is, but she goes on to say, example B, again, showing Legal Eagle's video on the right and hers on the left, trying to call out the Legal Eagle editing team for trying to copy her editing style, which is pretty funny considering her team edits her videos and not even her. And to be honest, I wouldn't have believed any of this was trying to replicate my videos if not for the email and Discord stuff that was done preemptive to the video coming out. Like, talk about, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just make it a little bit different. Shake my head. As you can see, this is just her coping on Twitter about another big channel using the same effect that hundreds of other channels use. To be honest, these tweets just make her look brain dead and psychotic. She is basically calling out a YouTuber, who is a lawyer by the way, for using the two most overused effects in video documentaries, one being a highlighter effect and the other one being a paper tear effect. Blair would start to get a lot of backlash on Twitter after making this thread and go on to delete all of her tweets about it, which by the way, that might be why it's a little bit lower quality in this video. Nicholas Theorio put out a tweet laughing, saying how happy he was that Iilluminaughtii was getting the backlash, and not too long after the tweet from the Oreo man, he shows a Reddit thread from supposedly Blair herself. I am done to death with leftist YouTuber drama, to the point I almost want nothing to do with them anymore. It's been one hell of a stressful year without this bullshit on top of it, with the Supreme Court of the US threatening to limit abortion rights further, with anti-trans legislation becoming more hostile and being passed all over the US, and the very fabric of our democracy being challenged in this country, to the point where I even wonder if there there'll even be a fair election next year. But nah, you know what we really need right now? Left YouTubers avoiding the hard and pertinent topics, and instead accusing each other of petty shit, hurling attacks at each other, sicking each other's fan bases at each other like they're actual fascists. Motherfuckers. I'm stressed enough as it is, and I look to you all for solidarity. I follow each of you because you all have a lot to say on these issues, and it ensures me I'm not going to go out of my freaking mind, because I'm not the only one who feels like they're going freaking wrong. But of course, turbulent times like this seems to be the perfect time for speakers within the community to draw lines in the sand and measure the sizes of their egos against each other. To hell with it. I don't know what's going on with you three, and honestly, I don't give a rat's ass. How about you settle your problems like adults privately and with level heads rather than airing out your laundry in front of your already stressed fan base. So it turns out the person who wrote this thread was just a fan, but I thought it was pretty funny to see this fan of Blair who genuinely thought writing all of that would change like anybody's opinion on Illuminati. During this whole ordeal, a user on Twitter would expose Illuminaughtii for plagiarism herself. The video shows clear-cut evidence of Illuminaughtii just copying another documentary script. Here's that video.
Professor Hugh Freudenberg.
Professor Freudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Freudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
This definitely looks bad for Illuminaughtii, which in response she did clear this up and can also be the cause of her scriptwriters, and I am going to give her that excuse, but it is still very hypocritical of her to call out Legal Eagle for copying an editing style when she is out here copying documentary scripts, which is not necessarily caused by her, but you could have added any creativity or personality to make it just even slightly unique. So The Click is a reactionary YouTuber with over 1.2 million subscribers. He was one of the members of the Sad Milk channel. At the time, Illuminaughtii was a part of the group. So The Click, in light of the hate, he would decide to drop a huge expose thread on Illuminaughtii, finally letting people know how Illuminaughtii used to treat him, as well as other members of the Sad Milk group, and really just exposed what kind of person Blair really is behind the scenes. He released a 16-thread tweet that reads, "Hello, I have seen the recent drama regarding Illuminaughtii and would like to clarify I'm not affiliated with her and haven't been for over 2 years. I left her in the group, Sad Milk, due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events, lashing out at friends and fans, paranoia, and generally poor anger management, to name a few. Eventually, I believe pretty much the whole group left her. The last meeting I ever had with her, she spent half an hour screaming at me for an array of random things, calling me a bad friend, lazy, and a bunch of random accusations that didn't really have anything to do with me. There is no way you can have the resume you claim and be this stupid," and so on. No one even raised their voice back at her. I left along with several other members, half the group at the time. She spent the next few months spreading lies and half-truths about us on the Sad Milk Reddit page and vague posts on Twitter. I still have all of the screenshots. She would turn friends against you, or specifically team up with people she knew didn't like you, so she had allies against you, rallying mainly banned problematic community members known to be liars and conflict seekers. When people started questioning that maybe she was the reason everyone left, there was a very convenient updigging of 11 to 14-year-old videos of me. Stuff I made back when I started my channel in 2009, when I was a teenager. And as you can probably guess, some of the jokes from that time aged like milk. I publicly owned up to my past mistakes and apologized, doing my best to be transparent and honest about my past. She would still harp on it, ignoring the fact that it had already been addressed, trying to direct as much attention to it as possible, publicly stating it was a bad apology, along with vague posts posting about it in the comments on her collaboration channel, maybe in an attempt to get some people to assume I had been kicked out for poor behavior rather than leave because of her own behavior. She, assuming it was her as she had channel access, also like to pull what I can only describe as very petty acts of revenge. For example, some people left comments on the collaboration channel saying, "Good that Click left. They obviously got ratioed hard as people were there for the creators." She would manually go in and delete the ratioing comments, but leave the original hate comment. She tried to gain control of my Discord when it surpassed hers in size by tossing around accusations at staff and trying to get rid of my team and replacing it with hers, giving me the ultimatum to fire my entire senior team or be publicly fired from Sad Milk myself. I was still a YouTube freshie at the time, and she was quite intimidating, claiming connections and clout, reputation and powerful friends, so everyone stayed mostly silent and had to constantly look over our shoulder for the next year. None of us even mentioned the whole thing. We were even worried about talking in our own Discords. As it became apparent, she had spies within our moderation ranks. We were just hoping we wouldn't have our reputation completely destroyed for simply walking away. This is just a brief summary of events. It's sad to see that she hasn't changed. After this thread, it sparked even more hate for Iilluminaughtii, on top of what she already was getting, and not too long after that thread, another YouTuber who was a part of the Sad Milk group, Wonderstruck, a reaction YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers. Wonderstruck was also an ex-employee of Blair and would agree with the thread that the Click made. He also put out his own Twitter longer about the living circumstances with her and the horrible ways she treated him, also showing the disgusting living conditions that Iilluminaughtii would stay in. As many of you are aware, Blair has come publicly with her side of the story. The Sad Milk members and I experienced either this or her burying it. I'm aware how opinions are formed, so I will explain briefly since I am working on a video response. I work full time, so it may take a moment to complete. Blair has come forward with a lot of information I did not initially come forward with. This was an active decision on my part. A lot of this information is part of a pending small claims lawsuit. My country is entirely backed up, and in the state of Texas, I have 2 years to file, which has given Blair ample time to do the right thing. I will get to that, but first let's rewind as I want to address a handful of things. I'd like to start with a blatant lie on my role as an SM editor. I did not become an editor to cover my share of the joint editor payments. I was living paycheck to paycheck, yet always paid my share. I became an editor for SM after they loved a demo I submitted. I was so new to contract work that I personally thought $20 was fair enough pay for my work, which obviously I was compensated more than that. In my span of SM, I added roughly 3 to 4 videos. SM was a channel that lasted almost over a year. I was not an active editor, so to say I paid editors via my own edits is inaccurate. About 3 months in, SM became profitable and we started doing shared payments because the money from the channel went to the editors rather than coming out of the SM members' pockets. We had our SM fund and then we had editors who got paid not via SM payroll. When I did edits, I was an editor. I made the claim that I had a delayed payment from her. This was due to her former channel manager telling me 2 years later that Blair had been spending it on food, cars, etc., while lying to employees about why money was being moved around or payments are delayed. He knows who he is, and that is for him to tell if he chooses to do so.
So Amos is brain dead and forgot to read this in the script, and since I'm editing this video I may as well do it for him. So after all this stuff came out against Iilluminaughtii, we were all waiting for a response, which we all know was horrible. In the response video, Iilluminaughtii starts off with saying that she feels open and uncomfortable, which is pretty funny considering she brought this upon herself. Like, no shit, you just got exposed by the people you treated bad. She also talks about how she reached out to Legal Eagle in private to sort that drama out, which we later found out was false. But back to Amos.
So then she apologized, saying that she impulsively posted those tweets without reaching out to anyone. This is probably the only part of the video that is good, because she actually apologizes. But you know how I said this was a horrible response video? Well, this is why. For the rest of the response video, she's just coping, talking about H-Bomber guy, who was the guy from before who exposed her for plagiarism. Then for some reason she goes on to put Google definitions of plagiarism, as if that changes the blatant plagiarism. Like, the self-deflecting in this response is crazy, dude. Then Blair goes on to talk about how she apparently dropped the Click for saying retard which is like stupid considering that she used to do edgy commentary herself with Tommy C. She then for some reason accuses the clique of pedophilia, and in her words tried to contact the clique about it, which we're gonna get into later. Never happened and were blatant lies to slander the clique. She then goes on to insinuate that his Discord server was a breeding ground for pedophiles, even though he banned the only pedophile that was confirmed. The second that situation happened, which wasn't even the clique's responsibility if we were going to be completely honest. This response was received horribly. We will get into the people that she tried exposing and their responses. The first person to refute Iilluminaughtie's claims was the clique. In this video, he refutes every claim made on him. The first thing he would talk about was how apparently Blair would spread rumors through other people and not herself. Then he refutes the pedophile accusation, showing screenshots on how there's no way that he would know about the person being on the server because it was 2 a.m. in the morning and also the person was banned. Also saying how in her video she said she had reached out to him to tell him about this issue, and the clique says that it never happened, and that is why Iilluminaughtii never showed proof in her video. To make things worse, Iilluminaughtii supposedly paid someone $200 to sift through calls with the clique, trying to find him saying slurs, which I think is very funny but very petty at the same time. The second person to refute Iilluminaughtie's claims was Wonderstruck. He responded with a behemoth of a video. He starts the video by saying that he couldn't show screenshots and receipts because he was not legally allowed to. He then goes on to talk about how disgusting her living conditions are and how she literally lives like a pig, which is funny considering she looks damn near close to a pig. Then Wonderstruck goes on to defend clique about the pedophile allegations that Iilluminaughtii tried to make up and pin on him. Sadly, Wonderstruck had to also admit to covering up for Blair and lying for her. Then he goes on to talk about his time as an editor for her. He says he only edited 3 to 5 videos in total in his time as an editor, which is crazy that they didn't ask him to edit more videos, considering the only thing he wanted for payment was Burger King or $20. It also just blows my mind that somehow they missed payments, $20 payments. Like, how can you not pay $20 for something that you already arranged? And he goes on to talk about how Blair is trying to expose the clique for saying retard, and how he said that it's very hypocritical considering she literally also used to say it. Then Wonderstruck has an interview with an ex-employee of Blair's, OZ Media, after Wonderstruck asked and begged to work on a video for his Burger King meal. Iilluminaughtii finally gave him a video, although sadly he never got that Burger King meal because she fired him right before the payment deadline, which looks even worse because during his time working for Blair, she bought him a BMW, then repossessed it right before firing him, which makes you wonder, why did he have to pay that much in bills if she could buy him a BMW? He was also promised $50,000 a year, but with his expenses, paying for stuff for Blair, he only had $434 left. After all the bad stuff happened, Wonderstruck had to go through Iilluminaughtii's manager, who would feel bad for his situation, but working for Iilluminaughtii, I had to remind him that he's working under a NDA. He cannot legally expose Iilluminaughtii without getting drained in legal fees. So how is their channel going since all this controversy has come out? So Blair, or mostly known as Iilluminaughtii, whatever you want to call her, has lost around 130,000 subscribers as of this recording, and her videos are dropping in views rapidly every single day. I personally think that there is no coming back from the situation, especially because of her abusive past, and also the fact that her response to all of this was just her self-deflecting all of her actions and not taking any responsibility. Will we see her make a comeback? Well, that is a question I cannot answer, but based on her actions, I would like to say no. Most of her videos now are getting dislike bombed and flooded with negative comments such as these. I agree with the title. This does expose you. It feels like you didn't own up to anything or deflecting it to other people, to your editors and your former friends. And I get that someone can be stupid or have a knee-jerk reaction, but it is inexcusable to unearth personal matters to the public just because you are in the controversy and it is the only thing discussing them. And it is another thing posting their private messages on your evidence file. You're the one who delivers the scrutiny and puts someone under a magnifying glass and always tells people that someone behind the videos is also a person, yet you treat personal matters like depression and someone's psychological and financial financial troubles for evidence without their consent. This video does clear up some things, like the accusation for stealing documentaries, but those small clarifications and apologies pale in comparison to the way you deflect the criticism levied against you. I feel like I just watched 40 minutes of someone attempting to manipulate me. There was seriously a lot of moments throughout this video where the message seemed to read, "Sorry, and you're an awful person that I never to have associated with." I don't think I've ever witnessed that within an apology before. Obviously, all this negativity is never good for any channel, and especially not good on a response video. Other than the terrible response video she put out, she has just moved on like nothing happened, still uploading her low effort commentary videos. In the end, Iilluminaughtii was abusive to all her friends and work partners, tried to expose numerous people with false allegations that she made up, and responding to all of this in the worst way you possibly can. You shouldn't be acting like this to people normally, let alone having 1.5 million subscribers and friends that are just trying to help you. But at the end of the day, when you do all of those things as a creator on such a platform as YouTube, it will only just come back to bite you when you're least expecting it. And as we have seen, Blair's just ruined her reputation from beginning to end. Now let me ask you guys in the comments, can Iilluminaughtii ever come back from this, or will she forever be bombarded with hate comments and dislikes?